Russian President Vladimir Putin has appealed to voters, including those in the annexed parts of Ukraine, to be united in determining Russia's future in the presidential elections, while the polling in Russia will begin on Friday. Early voting began on Sunday in the 4 regions in eastern Ukraine annexed by Russia in September of 2022. Megumi Lim has more from Kiev.
As Russia heads into the presidential elections this weekend, early voting had already begun on Sunday in the occupied regions of Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhia and Kherson in eastern Ukraine, reportedly for, quote, security reasons. These 4 regions were annexed by Russia in September of 2022, but is only partially controlled by Moscow, and its claim over these territories has been rejected as illegal by Ukraine and most countries in the United Nations General Assembly. Ukraine has said it will consider Russian votes in these regions as void, and that it will also prosecute observers sent in to monitor the voting process. The Kremlin-backed news agency TASS reported that early voting in some areas close to the front line began even earlier, since February 25th. The Institute of the Study of War said in its assessment that Russian-installed officials in these occupied territories are expected to fabricate a larger voter turnout in an aim to legitimize Russia's control. President Putin's win is pretty much guaranteed, but a high turnout would help the Kremlin's effort to justify Russia's invasion of Ukraine. There are 3 other candidates on the ballot, but none of the others have posed a real challenge to Putin. Opinion polls show he is widely supported by a majority of Russians. One survey last month reflected a 75% support. His win in the elections would give him another 6 years in office. Megumi Lim in Kiev reporting for DD India.
Updates now on Russia-Ukraine conflict. French President Emmanuel Macron said Europe should prepare for war if it wants peace, citing Russia as an adversary that would not stop in Ukraine if it defeated Kyiv's troops in the 2-year-old conflict.
Il y a 2 ans, nous disions jamais on enverra de chars.
If the war were to spread in Europe, it would be Russia's only choice and responsibility. But to decide us today to be weak, to decide today that we would not respond to it, is already to be in defeat. But that I do not want.
Escalade, nous ne sommes pas en guerre contre.
Meanwhile, German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock said there would be no end for the joint international and joint European support for Ukraine.
Putin believes that Ukraine will sooner or later run out of weapons and lose international support. He's completely wrong, because we have staying power, and we are not letting up in our joint international and joint European support for Ukraine. And we know that all the different elements are needed for the support of Ukraine.
The Secretary General of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, said Ukraine is running out of ammunition and NATO members are not doing enough to help Kyiv on Thursday.
There is no imminent military threat against any NATO ally. NATO continues to ensure there is no room for miscalculation in Moscow about our readiness to protect all allies. With more forces, higher readiness and increased defense spending.
And in a tragic incident, as many as 60 people are feared to have drowned on a vessel carrying migrants across the central Mediterranean from Libya to Italy. The central Mediterranean is one of the world's most dangerous sea migration routes. According to the UN Migration Agency, almost 2,500 migrants died or went missing last year and 226 since the start of 2024. Colorado on Thursday witnessed what may be the U.S. state's biggest snowstorm of the season. The heavy winter storm dumped several feet of snow, knocking out power, closing roads and causing flight delays. Several ski slopes were closed because of the weather, and Denver International Airport cancelled over 800 flights and delayed over 300. The snowfall rates are expected to ease from Friday. Donald Trump is expected to win the Northern Mariana Islands Republican presidential contest on Friday. The 14-island nation will help the former president add to his delegate count ahead of November's presidential election. DD India's Nick Harper reports.
The Northern Mariana Islands are actually nearer to China than mainland United States, but they are a US territory and therefore holding the Republican Party caucus this Friday, with Donald Trump looking to clinch all 9 of the available delegates that are up for grabs. Trump, of course, is now the only contender in the Republican primary race and earlier this week won enough delegates in the state primaries to become the party's nominee. It means he'll go up against the incumbent Democratic President Joe Biden in November's election. Biden himself won the Northern Mariana Islands Democratic primary on Tuesday. Around 55,000 people live on the islands in the Pacific Ocean, which formerly became a US territory back in 1986. The southernmost island of the territory, Guam, an important US military base, holds its Republican caucus on Saturday. However, while the territory can vote for presidential nominees in the primary contests, the residents there cannot vote in the general election come November. Nick Harper in Washington, reporting for DD India.
There are 134 hostages still remain in Gaza, and families are continuously demanding an immediate release. Thousands in Israel took to the streets on Thursday, calling for the release of hostages marched from a Tel Aviv square. Protesters carried enlarged images of women taken hostage by Hamas terrorists on October 7.
We want to achieve talks. We want people, we know that bringing them back alive is by talking, by diplomatic people, by people that are good in negotiating. They should do their job. They should have the chance to do it. The military gave them the chance. Now it's time to put them together.
There is a deal that we can do right now, but it seems like they don't want to do it, and they do everything not to do it. But they've got to do it because they're not going to survive. They're going to come back all dead. I want that Ofer will come back home alive. We've got a family that's waiting for him.
Well, there are 134 hostages still remain in Gaza. And like I said, the families are continuously demanding an immediate release. Thousands in Israel took to the streets on Thursday, calling for the release of hostages marched from a Tel Aviv square. Protesters carried enlarged images of women taken hostage by Hamas terrorists on October 7. Now, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has appointed his long-time economic advisor Mohammad Mustafa to be the next Prime Minister to reform the Palestinian Authority. Mohammad Mustafa is leading business figure in Palestine. His appointment comes after mounting pressure to overhaul and revitalize the governing body of the Palestinian territories and improve its governance in the West Bank, where it is based. Mustafa had helped organize the reconstruction of Gaza following a previous conflict. He replaces former Prime Minister Mohammad Shtaya, who, along with his government, resigned in February. As president, Abbas still remains by far the most powerful figure in the Palestinian Authority, but the appointment of a new government was a demonstration of his willingness to meet international demands for change in the administration. Turkey and Iraq have agreed to strengthen cooperation on issues such as terrorism and energy. The two countries' foreign ministers, defense ministers and intelligence chiefs have met in the Iraqi capital. DD India's Ollie Barrett reports from Baghdad.
Well, this was a meeting at senior ministerial level which followed a similar meeting that took place in December. Coming into the talks, it was described as a security meeting by Ankara, but there were other issues on the agenda as well. In fact, the Iraqi Foreign Minister Fuad Hussein says that there was a wide range of bilateral and regional issues discussed, as well as, he says, the upcoming visit to Baghdad, which is planned by the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Fuad Hussein saying that there was a stressing of the need to strengthen cooperation in the following fields: security, trade, energy, water, education, and everything, he says, that's in the interest of the two countries. A major focus of the talks was the PKK militant group in the north of Iraq, which Turkey has insisted it will continue to fight. The Turkish president has spoken recently of that issue nearly being resolved, but wanting to have more cooperation from Baghdad in waging war against that insurgency along its Iraq borders. This is also coming in the context of the Iraqi Prime Minister soon heading off to Washington, D.C. for a visit on which he will surely be spoken to and talked to about the current position of US-led coalition forces in Iraq. There has been the decision from the Americans and the Iraqis to wind down that presence of US-led coalition forces here in Iraq, but it now looks like that probably won't take place until after the US presidential election in November. So Iraq very busy at the moment when it comes to international diplomacy. Ollie Barrett in Baghdad for DD India.
Well, let's take a look at other stories making news today. Rio's luxury palace hotel opened the French artist Daniel Buren's artwork displaying chromatic facade balconies as part of a world-scattered 6 art pieces project. The emblematic hotel's windows facing the iconic Brazilian beach were covered with colorful light, making it a 24-hour artwork. The palace to showcase art exhibit till September 30th. Grammy-winning singer Norah Jones surprised onlookers as she sings her famous hits in a London train station. The pianos in the main arcade became part of the railway station's furniture in 2012 when the City of London Festival celebrated its golden anniversary, and public performances have since become an institution. The popular UNESCO-certified World Heritage Site Dubrovnik plans to stop issuing new private rental permits as it seeks to attract back locals who have been priced out of its historic old town. The city has already begun buying apartments offered to young families under a 10-year lease and will ban the short-term lease of flats in large apartment buildings. Old Town residents applauds the city's new move. Ukrainian soldier makes artwork using raw materials and a block flute. His works featuring mud, clay and ash were being exhibited this month at the 11th century St. Sophia Cathedral in Kiev. Part of his exhibition in Cathedral consists of experimental works made from ash to depict snow scene in the forest. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. SpaceX's Starship rocket, designed to send astronauts to the moon and beyond, completed nearly an entire test flight on its 3rd try. Fear of deadly bird flu virus in Antarctic. Scientists issued warning. In Champions League, Dortmund and Madrid enter quarterfinals. Draw to be announced today.
I'm at the entrance of Cellar Tunnel, which is more than 13,000 feet high. This tunnel provides an all-weather access, especially to the armed forces, and also very convenient for the civilians.
It was unimaginable, and I also like to express my heartiest thanks and congratulations to the Border Roads organizations.
This tunnel system, both Tunnel 1 and Tunnel 2, that we don't have to climb the pass, and no matter what the weather, we will be able to access Tawang.
At the very outset, I'd like to pay my huge gratitude to Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
I'm very happy now I can able to go wherever I want.
वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू, मैं जहाँ रहूँ जहाँ में याद रहे तू, मैं जहाँ रहूँ जहाँ में याद रहे तू, ऐ वतन मेरे वतन.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Argentina's Senate voted to reject President Javier Milei's December presidential decree that rolled out a series of economic reforms. The decree faces a second vote in the country's lower house. The decree, which originally contained over 600 articles, was rejected in a vote of 42 to 25 with 4 abstentions and can only be definitively discarded if it is also rejected by Argentina's lower house. The president's party has a minority in both chambers. Milei, an outsider economist whose party has a minority in Congress, took office in December and used his powers of presidential decree to roll out measures ranging from privatizations to labor reforms. Argentina grappled with the intense rain's aftermath with reconstruction works where the downpour tore down rooftops and prompted authorities to declare an orange alert and cancel flights on Tuesday. Authorities of Buenos Aires puts the city to alert yellow, warning of potential damages and disruption in daily life activities. So far this week, the rainfall has surpassed March's unusual rain weather volume. Wildfires burns amid a dense residential area in Chile's central port city of Valparaiso. Firefighters works to put out the blaze, which comes a month after deadly wildfires devastated central Chile in early February. At least 133 people died in the February fires, which marks the country's deadliest natural disaster since 2010. Deadly wildfires are expected to become more likely in South American country as the world becomes hotter and drier with climate change. Scientists in the Antarctic are warning of the spread of deadly bird flu virus after the disease was first detected on the frozen continent's mainland last month and has since been detected in local penguin and cormorant in populations. Scientists have warned that another pandemic might be underway as cases of bird flu known as H5N1 goes up. The spread of virus, which has decimated bird populations worldwide, has raised alarms about the potential impact on the frozen region's huge penguin colonies. The flu was first detected in 9 Adelaide penguins and 1 Antarctic cormorant. SpaceX's Starship rocket, designed to send astronauts to the moon and beyond, completed nearly an entire test flight on its third try on Thursday, making it farther than before through a cruise in low orbit. However, according to SpaceX, the rocket was destroyed during atmospheric re-entry. During a webcast of the flight, SpaceX commentators, they said mission control lost communication with Starship from 2 satellite systems simultaneously while the spacecraft was re-entering the planet's atmosphere at hypersonic speed. Thursday's flight achieved many of the engineering goals set for the mission, a repeat of successful stage separation during the initial ascent. The first test of Starship's ability to open and close its payload door in orbit and the transfer of super-cooled rocket propellant from one tank to another during space flight. Still, Musk is counting on Starship to fulfill his goal of producing a large multi-purpose next-generation spacecraft capable of sending people and cargo to the moon later this decade and ultimately flying to Mars. India, along with United States and 53 other members, have proposed a first United Nations resolution on artificial intelligence aimed at ensuring the new technology is safe, secure and trustworthy, and that all countries, especially those in the developing world, have equal access. The resolution calls on member states to promote safe, secure and trustworthy AI systems to address the world's greatest challenges, including those related to poverty elimination, global health, food security, climate, energy and education. Members resolved to bridge the artificial intelligence and other digital divides between and within countries through capacity building, increasing digital literacy and other actions. Statement establishes a shared vision that AI systems should be human-centric, reliable, explainable, ethical, inclusive, privacy-preserving and responsible with a sustainable development orientation and in full respect, promotion and protection of human rights and international law. And it affirms principles that will help make that vision a reality. This resolution is a historic step forward in fostering safe, secure and trustworthy AI worldwide. And Bhutanese Prime Minister sharing top gaze on a 5-day official visit to India at the invitation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Prime Minister of Bhutan will meet President Draupadi Murmu today and visit Rajghat in the national capital. Earlier on Thursday, Bhutanese Prime Minister Shering Tobgay met Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi. The visit of Bhutanese Prime Minister will provide an opportunity to the two sides to review the partnership progress. This is his first overseas visit after assuming office in January 2024. The High-Level Committee on One Nation, One Election has submitted its report. The committee was constituted on 2nd September 2023 and over 191 days conducted wide consultation with experts and citizens. It has recommended two phases of election: simultaneous election to the Lok Sabha or House of the People and Vidhan Sabhas and state legislative assemblies, and within 100 days elections to municipalities and local bodies. Here's a report.
The High-Level Committee on Simultaneous Elections submitted its report to the President of India. It has 18,626 pages. The committee, headed by former President of India, Ramnath Kovind, conducted extensive consultations with stakeholders and experts over 191 days. 47 political parties submitted their views and suggestions, of which 32 supported simultaneous elections. Many political parties had extensive discussions on this matter. 21,558 responses were received from citizens all over India. 80% of the respondents supported simultaneous elections. Experts on law, including 4 former Chief Justices of India and 12 former Chief Justices of major high courts, 4 former Chief Election Commissioners, 8 State Election Commissioners and Chairman Law Commission of India interacted in person with the committee. Views of the Election Commission of India were also sought. Industry bodies CII, FICCI, ASSOCHAM and eminent economists were also consulted. They confirmed that asynchronous elections fueled inflation and slowed down the economy. They said intermittent elections adversely impacted economic growth, quality of public expenditure, educational and other outcomes, and upset social harmony. The committee recommended a 2-step approach to simultaneous elections. Simultaneous elections for the House of the People and the state legislative assemblies. In the second step, elections to municipalities, panchayats, to be held within 100 days of elections to the House of People and the state legislative assemblies. The committee recommends that there should be a single electoral roll and electoral photo identity cards for use in elections to all the 3 tiers of government. The committee crafted its recommendations so that they are in accordance with the spirit of the Constitution of India and would require the bare minimum amendments to the Constitution to implement. The committee concluded that its recommendations will significantly enhance transparency, inclusivity, confidence and ease of the voters. The overwhelming support for holding simultaneous elections will spur development, improve social cohesion, deepen the foundations of democracy and realize the aspirations of India, that is Bharat. The other members of the committee were India's Home Minister Amit Shah, former Upper House Leader of the Opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad, former Chairman of the 15th Finance Commission N.K. Singh and Dr. Subhash C. Kashyap, former Secretary General Lok Sabha. Other members of the committee were Harish Salve, Senior Advocate, Sanjay Kothari, former Chief Vigilance Commissioner, Arjun Ram Meghwal, India's Minister of Law and Justice, was a special invitee, and Dr. Nitin Chandra was the committee secretary. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, let's take a look at other stories making news today. India's Ministry of Coal launched the 3rd tranche of e-auction of critical and strategic minerals on Thursday. A total of 7 critical mineral blocks are being put up for auction as composite license. These 7 blocks pertains to critical minerals such as glauconite, graphite, nickel, PGE, potash, lithium and titanium and are spread across the different states. An Indian tribal painting exhibition was inaugurated in Dubai on Thursday. The exhibition was focused on the language, literature and culture of the East Indian state of Odisha. 15 tribal artists of Odisha exhibited their paintings before a global audience. Consul General of India in Dubai, Satish Kumar Shivan, inaugurated the exhibition. People covered each other in colours as they played Herbal Holi, a festival of colours in the North Indian state of Mathura. People gathered at Raman Reti Ashram and played with colours and flowers. In interesting encounters at the Champions League, Borussia Dortmund and Atletico Madrid both made it to the quarterfinals round. And now all eyes are on the upcoming Champions League draw that will take place on Friday. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.